What does it mean to be anti-culturalist?
He's basically an anarchist, but at the cultural level.
At a cultural level, not at the societal level. Not at the modern.
I mean, I agree that we finding identity in culture is a useless thing, but I do value culture as not as a guide to life, but as like entertainment. Like culture has two different meanings. Like culture could be referring to certain rituals, but it also could refer to certain ways of life, like a guideline to life. As a guideline to life, I hate culture, but as a certain rituals like food, dance, music, clothing, I think cultures are entertaining and could enrich some people's lives. But I don't see it as a point of using it as an identity, but as a form of enjoyment and enriching your life.
Yeah, I get that too. Obviously, you're picking up the harmless things. Obviously, like who doesn't like pakoras and palak paneer and like.
I mean, also Haris, like.
Hang on a second. Let me finish my point.
Yeah.
I have obviously no problem with that either. But my point is, at what cost does it come? So if we lose a certain culture, like people see that as a moral duty to protect a certain culture. And I've spoken with a lot. For example, they're called tribal people in India. And when I look at it, every tribal person wants to get out of India. And then this person who was talking up this tribalism, the certain indigenous tribe of India in some rural part or whatever. And he was like, oh, no, I'm so proud of this. I love it, and blah, blah, blah. But he lived in New Delhi. I'm like, what are you doing? Why are you enjoying the air-conditioned life? And, like, oh, you're taking modern amenities. But these indigenous tribes, they refuse to take modern medicine. They refuse to adopt modern life. I get it. There's no way. We can't be China. We can't just go to them and demolish the shacks and say, hey, you need to, move in with the times. But I'm saying that if those cultures voluntarily go extinct, I have no problem with that. And then on a larger scale, when we talk about Diwali and Holi, okay, fine. They enrich people's lives and they're important. They give you pleasure. But if they go, the world is not going to be a worse off place, because we will always replace that with something else. Because the rituals that we had 2,000 years, hang on, last point. The rituals that we had 2,000 years ago, most of them are gone. And these rituals will be gone as well in 2,000 years later. Nobody would remember what Eid is, what Diwali was.
Something also.
Wait. Okay, you go.
The thing is, the cultures do not disappear all of a sudden unless there is like a very large scale genocide or some disease killing everyone. They slowly.
Modernity has killed more cultures. Modernity has killed more cultures. Modernity has killed more cultures.
Yeah, it has this all engulfing, property. It does, kill cultures.
60% of in I think after Second World War, 60%, or I think it's somewhere between. I think it's either tipped to be 70% by the middle of the century, or at least 60% of the world's population today now lives in the cities, in the urban areas. And with the urban areas, they've actually let go most part of their traditional indigenous culture. Like, by that I mean rituals. Now, obviously, now they have other rituals as well. Fair enough, and then that's my whole point. I mean, these things keep evolving. And last point. This is the point to focus on. Because the more global you become, For example, now the whole world, right before our eyes, now celebrates Halloween. Like 20 years ago, nobody celebrated Halloween in Australia or in other parts of the world. Now, so we're assuming these global.
Yes, I understand. You call yourself a cultural what? A cultural?
I'm anti-culturalist. I don't care. Like
all right. So here's.
I couldn't care less.
Okay. Yeah, you mentioned it. Here's my point. Okay, so you said a lot of cultures were abolished without genocide and stuff, and that's true. Okay, but that would not make me. And I think I agree with you that that's fine. Okay. The reason why I think that's fine is not because those cultures disappeared. It's because they were replaced by something else. I would be upset if a culture was wiped and it didn't morph into something else. So I'm not like those cultural absolutists. They're like, oh, preserve this. I'm like, let culture organically evolve, because people, just like people vote in a market about what kind of shoes they want, people also vote in the marketplace of cultures about what cultures they like, right? So cultures change.
That's a very good assessment.
Yeah. So cultures change, cultures evolve, cultures fit what people want at that time, and I'm okay with that because people still have culture. So I wouldn't call myself anti-culturalist, because the reason that culture disappeared, but now people have certain other cultures that they're enjoying. So I would think the world would be a bad place if there was no culture to enjoy. So as long as something comes in favor. So if they like, oh my God, these people's cultures are disappearing, I'm like, oh wow, how? Is somebody forcing it out of them? Is it like cultural genocide, or is it just genocide? I would be like, yeah, I'm concerned. Stop it. Maintain the culture. But if somebody says, oh, the culture is disappearing, I'm like, how? People are just willingly choosing a different culture. I'm like, I don't see any problem here. So these two differ. Yeah.
No,
so
yeah, no.
That wouldn't make you an anti-culturalist, because people are switching to another culture.
In the context, it would, because when I say anti-culturalist, I'm actually saying that the opposite of that is globalism. So cultures are localized, whereas globalism is assuming global identity is global, basically. So if, for example, if the whole world celebrates Halloween, for example, even though it might have originated in America, that becomes a part of a global culture or tradition or whatever. I'm okay with that. So it's basically going from localized culture to global culture, maybe. So probably I might not say it, maybe call it anti-local culture. so maybe you can call it that.
By the way, the two sections of culture that I was mentioning is actually different. That I said traditions. I should have said it's culture has two parts. Okay, it's ritual and moral standards. Okay, culture is horrible for moral standards. Okay, we have better ways of figuring out moral standards than our culture, because using culture as moral standards is just because our ancestors did it the way it's good, which is a very fallacious way. Yeah, but rituals part of culture is something that is specific, like clothing, dancing, art, food, these things. There's no harm in it, and the more culture you have, the better, because basically and in fact, you don't have to localize. Like Harris said, globalizing culture is better than localizing it, because I could be anywhere I want, and instead of having to pick a certain culture because this is the culture of where I'm born, now I have access to so many different culture. I could be like in the middle of New York, and I have access to Mexican culture, I have access to Arab culture, I have access to Indian culture, and we want that would let people choose more, because there's a selection of everything in front of them, and a good thing is that divorcing culture from ethnicity is a good thing, because so that people could enjoy culture that is not supposed to be tied to ethnicity. You could be a Japanese that is enjoying Mexican culture. Okay, you could be like a British person, white British person that is enjoying Indian culture.
You should see my music playlist full of Indian songs, like 80s, 90s, 70s Bollywood songs, full.
Do you get to watch the dance as well?
I watch them, man. I know so many of them by heart.
Shah Rukh Khan.
You lose your shit.
Are you Shah Rukh Khan or Armin Khan guy?
Shah Rukh Khan. I like Shah Rukh
Khan. He's going down now, but anyway, that's fine.
Wait, I want to mention this because I was trying to steelman Pakistani Defense Force, but
I think he likes it.
Yeah, no, but he said nation states are a new thing. The old world was a more complicated thing. Okay, based on the old definition, you're Indian. If you want to, I was saying, like, if you say I'm not Indian, based on the new definition, based on the nation state definition of Indian, because you're not a citizen of India, you're not an Indian. But if you want to go based on the old definition of what people refer to as India, if you're a Pakistani, based on that old definition, you are an Indian. Get my best-selling book, Why There Is No God, for free. Click on the link for it in the description.